at my age, and I'm not very old yet, but I hear myself slipping into the back in the good old days speech. Now, for me, back in the good old days was when I was like 12 or 13, and everything was perfect back then, just ask me. But in a way, climate-wise, it kind of was. From the 70s through the 90s, this image on the top left is the normal precipitation that the United States got. And as you can see, it's relatively plentiful. We had a few areas that stayed dry, but for the most part, you had good rainfall going throughout most of the United States and even in Canada. And what this meant is that during the time that we created and founded so much of our agricultural outlook was during a time that we had very good and dependable precipitation. And in addition to that, this precipitation was several inches over several weeks, or a foot over several weeks. The image that you see on the top right is the new normal, and that's what we like to call it. The new normal when you don't have other oceanic or volcanic activity influencing what the Pacific and the Atlantic do to precipitation and weather. And unfortunately, it's a lot drier. Water storage and water usage becomes such a key impact and key importance when you no longer have the dependency of rainfall over the course of year-by-year basis. But instead, especially for areas in the south and parts of California for that matter, they have to depend on an El Nino, which is what you see there in the bottom right. El Ninos occur about every 3 to 7 years, so about a 5-year average, give or take. And what that means is that during that course of time, during that year or 2 years that the El Nino is influencing and hitting, it's going to create a lot of water. But if you paid at all attention to Texas during this past summer, they didn't get that water casually. They got flooded in spring, drought in summer, and flooded again near the end of summer. So without water conservation, without having a way to store that water, it meant that it was still a very difficult season for agriculture, and it can be in general for so many areas, because precipitation is not a dependable commodity that comes day by day, week by week, month by month. It comes fast and it comes strong, and then it goes away. And we find that also in our winter weather.